Would you believe me if I tell you that it is possible for someone to retire with 100,000 Rand per month tax-free, all from one simple account that anyone can open in South Africa? Sounds crazy, right? But it is absolutely possible within what is called a tax-free savings account. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how 36,000 Rand per year can turn into life-changing wealth, how you can unlock the true power of a TFSA, and the mistakes that you need to avoid that could accidentally end up costing you millions in lost growth over the long term. Now, I've helped hundreds of South Africans build their first investment plans, and I can tell you that once you understand how a TFSA really works, the wonderful world of investing will suddenly open up and everything will start to click. It is addictive, so viewers' discretion is advised. So let's start with the part that completely blows everyone's mind: the real power of tax-free compounded growth. Now, I want you to picture this. You just had a baby, his name, Frikkie. Why? Because I say so. Now, as the legendary parent that you are, you decide to max out little Frikkie's TFSA at 36,000 Rand per year until you hit his lifetime limit of 500,000 Rand. This is around the time he turns 14, when, you know, hormones are rampant, bum fluff appears, and voices break. Excuse me.
For a minute. God, don't tell me his voice is breaking.
Now, as you ship off teenage Frikkie to the High School of Hard Knocks, he will have 1.41 million Rand to his name. Pretty impressive for a little spud. But here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous. You stop contributing. You never give him another cent. You literally just leave it alone. Opa Frikkie, now at the age of 65, now has 716 million Rand tax-free money at retirement. In today's money, that's roughly 30 million Rand after adjusting for inflation. And at a 4% withdrawal rate, this will give him roughly 100,000 Rand per month, completely tax-free for life. Let that sink in for a moment.
Hello?
In fact, pause this video, go to the kitchen sink, and rethink your entire childhood. So what is this sorcery? How can a tiny TFSA turn into a pipe dream that most people can't even imagine? Well, it is a combination of tax-free compounded growth where taxes are not allowed to eat into your returns, an investment time horizon of 65 years of uninterrupted growth, high growth assets like global equities that trumps all the other asset classes over the long term, and zero panic selling. If you remove taxes, fees, and behavior mistakes from the equation, the compounding curve becomes insane. So yes, in today's day and age, you can literally spawn a tax-free millionaire baby.
Go, shorty, it's your birthday.
Exciting times to be alive, isn't it? But let's be honest. According to my YouTube analytics, most people watching my videos are not newborn Frikkies. So here's what this means for you. If we use the exact same growth assumptions and TFSA strategies, someone starting at the age of 25 will have 4.8 million Rand in today's money at retirement. Someone starting at 35 will have 2.3 million, and someone starting at 45 will have 1.1 million. This is all tax-free money that you will have full access to, and which will massively complement the rest of your retirement savings. So now that you understand just how powerful tax-free compounding is, we need to talk about the 3 rules that determine whether your TFSA becomes a wealth-building beast or a very expensive mistake. Now, first up, you are only allowed to invest up to 36,000 Rand per tax year into your TFSA. If you exceed this amount, SARS will clap you with a straight up 40% tax penalty on the excess amount. You can have as many TFSAs as you want, but the total contributions across all of them should not exceed that 36,000 Rand limit, unless of course you want to sponsor the government.
That's part of the problem.
Now here's the part that catches a lot of people out. You are allowed to withdraw funds from your TFSA at any time, But once you take money out, your contribution limit does not reset. So if you contribute 36,000 Rand, withdraw the full amount, and then redeposit it again within the same tax year, SARS will view this as a 72,000 Rand contribution, and you will have to cough up to 14,400 Rand in tax penalties for doing absolutely nothing wrong except not knowing this rule. But here's the good news. Any growth that takes place within a TFSA does not count towards the annual limit. It is only the amount you physically transfer into the TFSA. So if you transferred 30,000 Rand and it grew to 36,000 Rand within the same tax year, SARS only sees the 30,000 Rand as a contribution. Now you are allowed to move your TFSA between different providers without triggering any tax penalties, but only if this is done properly as a formal transfer. Please do not cash out your TFSA and then redeposit it into a new account. SARS will shapadi bonus you as they will see it as a completely new contribution, which could have some ugly tax consequences. Rather ask the new provider to facilitate the transfer process and follow the instructions and paperwork to the T. So now that you know how not to donate money to SARS, let's talk about why a TFSA is so powerful in the first place. The fact that every single cent of growth inside it is completely tax-free. Yes, you heard it right. You pay no interest tax, dividend tax, or capital gains taxes. And to understand why this matters so much, you need to be introduced to one of the silent killers of long-term wealth: tax drag. Think of tax like little termites in your wallet. You don't notice them at first, but over time, they slowly eat away at your money, month after month, year after year. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's say grown-up Frikkie now has 1 million Rand to invest. He earns 600,000 Rand per year, so he's in the 36% marginal tax bracket. Frikkie has three options. His first option is to put the money in the bank, earning 6% nominal interest, which is 60,000 Rand in interest. Now, unfortunately, only the first 23,800 Rand will be interest-free, with the rest being taxed at 36%. The result? He lost 13,032 Rand to SARS. The 6% return that his bank promised him quietly drops to 4.7% after taxes. The second option is to invest the 1 million Rand in dividend-paying stocks at 4%, which is 40,000 Rand in dividends. Now, dividend withholding tax gets applied at a flat rate of 20%, which means Frikkie loses 8,000 Rand to taxes here, dropping his return from 4% to 3.2%. The third option is to invest the 1 million Rand in equities growing at 10% per year, which is 100,000 Rand in capital gains. Now, 40,000 Rand of this amount will qualify for the capital gains exclusion, and 40% of this balance, which is now 24,000 Rand, will be taxed according to his marginal tax rate of 36%. The result? 8,640 Rand gone to SARS, effectively reducing his after-tax return from 10% to 9.14%. So in just 1 year, on the same 1 million Rand, Frikkie loses 1.3% to interest tax, 0.8% to dividend tax, and 0.86% to capital gains tax. Not only does that money disappear once, it disappears every year and never gets a chance to actually compound. Now let's compare that to the exact same investments inside a TFSA. Same amount, same growth, same returns. But this time, zero tax. Not today, not in 10 years, and not when he cashes out. And when you compound those tax savings over many decades, that difference alone can be worth millions. So TFSA isn't powerful because it magically gives you higher returns. It's powerful because it removes one of the biggest enemies of compounding: taxes. Now that you understand why tax-free growth matters so much, we need to talk about the R1 million mistake that I see most people make, which is what they actually choose to invest inside of a TFSA. Now, quick side note, if this already feels like a lot to take in, don't stress, you are not alone. So why not join me in my free live investing webinar, where I will walk you through a simple step-by-step winning blueprint for building a successful investment plan in South Africa. Spots are limited, So make sure to grab your seat by joining the waitlist using the link in the description. Alright, so a TFSA is called a tax-free savings account after all. So do we then just invest the TFSA in cash with our bank? Well, if you ask your banker, that is most likely what they would recommend. The problem is that advice completely misses the whole point of a TFSA. That is why you need to know about the third rule that will unlock its true power. You already get an interest tax exemption of 23,800 Rand per year on your normal taxable investments. So using your TFSA just to avoid paying interest tax on cash is like using a Lambo to drive to engine for a garage buy. It can work, but you are wasting its real potential. And while your bank might offer you a juicy 6% guaranteed return, the stock market, especially global equities, has historically delivered far higher long-term growth. The MSCI World Index, as an example, has returned around 13% per year in Rand terms over the past decade. So if Ricky had saved his 1 million Rand TFSA in a bank savings account earning 6% interest, he would have 1.79 million Rand after 10 years. But if he rather invested it in a ETF or index fund that tracks the MSCI World Index, he would have 3.4 million Rand after 10 years. That is a difference of 1.6 million Rand purely because of what he invested in. It didn't come from taking crazy risks. It didn't require any clever trading. And it did not need perfect timing. It came from simply not wasting his TFSA on low growth assets. So if your investing time horizon is longer than 10 years and you want your TFSA to work as hard as possible for you, then you should be focused on growth assets like equities and not cash. Cash and bonds definitely have a role in an investment portfolio and are great asset classes to include in emergency funds and short-term goals that are less than 2 years away, but your TFSA is not the place for them. So if we bring everything together, Frikkie didn't do anything fancy or complicated. He simply focused on 3 smart moves: maxing out his TFSA every year until he hit the lifetime limit, investing in growth assets instead of cash or bonds when his investing time horizon was still long, and diversifying globally using a single low-cost world equity ETF. That's it. It really does not need to be any more complicated than this. Automate the process with debit orders, ignore the noise in the news, and when the markets drop, and drop it shall, do not panic sell. If Frikkie can do this, you can too. So be a Frikkie. But listen here, a TFSA is only one piece of your financial puzzle. If your budget is leaking, you are drowning in bad debt, or you don't have an emergency net in place, even a perfect TFSA will not save you. That is why a TFSA is only step 5 of the 10 baby steps to financial freedom in South Africa. And if you want to know what the other 9 steps are to truly take control of your finances, make sure to watch this video next. Lekker.